Stop thinking his distance appeared overnight, because most men pull back after small, repeated patterns make home feel heavier than peace daily. What looks like lost attraction is often emotional fatigue, where desire fades quietly because connection starts feeling pressured, critical, predictable, or emotionally unsafe. Many wives focus on appearance first, but men usually lose interest faster when they feel unseen, managed, corrected, or constantly tested emotionally. This script is not about blaming women. It is about noticing habits that slowly suffocate warmth, respect, longing, ease, and emotional curiosity. If you stop these five behaviors early, many relationships regain softness, flirtation, teamwork, and that quiet feeling of wanting each other again at home. And the first mistake is turning every disappointment into correction, because constant fixing makes a husband feel like a failing project, not a chosen partner. Advice can sound loving in your head, yet repeated criticism lands in his body as tension, defensiveness, shame, and the urge to escape. He may nod, stay quiet, or even agree, but inside he starts associating your voice with pressure instead of relief and comfort. Men often move toward places where they feel competent, respected, and accepted, so relentless correction quietly trains him to relax everywhere except near you. This does not mean staying silent about serious issues. It means changing the delivery so honesty feels like invitation, not humiliation daily. A man can handle truth better than contempt, and then he can face problems faster when he still feels respected while hearing them. Try replacing stacked complaints with one calm, specific sentence. Then leave space for his response so the conversation feels shared and safer. Respect opens a man's heart faster than pressure, because people fight less when they feel understood before they feel corrected at home. The second mistake is making the relationship feel like endless management, where every day becomes logistics, reminders, duties, and emotional accounting alone. When romance is replaced by supervision, attraction dries up, because nobody feels drawn toward a person who only relates through tasks daily. He begins coming home prepared for instructions, not connection, and that mental shift quietly kills spontaneity, playfulness, curiosity, and desire between you. Some women call this being responsible, yet responsibility without warmth can make love feel like employment with no emotional paycheck left inside. He may still stay loyal, helpful, and present, but his inner spark starts protecting itself by becoming flatter, quieter, and harder to reach. Attraction grows in emotional contrast, not routine overload, so your relationship needs moments that feel light, surprising, appreciative, and distinctly different again. Ask yourself whether he mostly experiences you as a teammate with warmth or as a manager measuring what is still unfinished daily. The third mistake is withholding softness until he performs better, because conditional warmth teaches him love is earned, not safely received there. Many women become colder to motivate change, but coldness rarely inspires closeness. It mostly trains emotional distance and silent resentment instead inside. He starts wondering whether affection is real or simply a reward for pleasing you, and that uncertainty weakens trust even before desire fades. Genuine intimacy needs safety, and safety dies when tenderness appears only after obedience, apology, success, or perfect emotional timing from him daily. A husband who feels emotionally graded will often protect his pride by sharing less, initiating less, and needing less from you too. Softness is powerful not because it is weak, but because it creates room where honesty can breathe without punishment or fear nearby. When you stay warm while still being clear, he learns that closeness survives imperfection, and that makes staying emotionally present much easier. And the fourth mistake is letting resentment speak through tone, because men often react to emotional texture long before they react to words. You may think you are just being honest, but if your tone carries disgust, impatience, or quiet superiority, his heart shuts quickly. A sharp tone tells his nervous system that home is not safe for vulnerability, so he hides weakness, confusion, and emotional need. Once that habit forms, even neutral conversations feel loaded, and he begins bracing himself before simple questions, simple mistakes, or normal requests. This is why some husbands go silent, stay longer at work, scroll endlessly, or become emotionally unavailable without clearly explaining why inside. Tone can either carry respect through hard truths or carry contempt through polite words, and men feel that difference immediately at home. If you want openness back, clean up the emotional climate first, because intimacy returns faster when the atmosphere stops feeling hostile daily. The fifth mistake is making him guess your needs, then punishing him for missing signals you never clearly expressed out loud before. Many wives hope he will just know, because being understood without asking feels romantic, but real marriages need clearer language than fantasies. Unspoken expectations create traps, and repeated traps make a man feel like he is always disappointing you by failing hidden tests daily. He cannot relax inside love when love feels like an exam with secret questions and emotional penalties for wrong answers from you. Clarity is not less feminine, less loving, or less tender. It is what protects connection from resentment, confusion, and repeated disappointment later. Saying what you need calmly gives him a real chance to show up, instead of merely failing a script he never saw. Underneath these five mistakes is one deeper problem. Relationships weaken when connection becomes more about control than emotional partnership between two people. A husband stays interested longer when home feels like respect, refuge, desire, laughter, honesty, and room to be human without constant judgment. He loses energy faster when every interaction carries criticism, obligation, emotional guessing, withheld affection, or a tone that wounds his pride daily. Men do not always explain this clearly, because many were trained to hide vulnerability, swallow hurt, and withdraw instead of confessing pain. So when he seems bored, distant, or less affectionate, do not assume another woman first. Examine the emotional experience he has with you. Attraction is not maintained by beauty alone. It is maintained by the feeling a man gets when he is with you daily. Does he feel admired sometimes or only evaluated, corrected, needed, and blamed when something at home or in life goes wrong lately? Does he feel desired as a man or simply used as a function, helper, provider, problem solver, and emotional target daily now? Does he feel safe sharing weakness, or has he learned that honesty will be used later during conflict, frustration, or disappointment again? These questions matter because interest fades when a man no longer associates his wife with emotional rest, playful energy, and relational safety. If you recognize yourself in some of these patterns, learn that is not failure, it is awareness. And awareness gives love a new chance. Real change begins when you stop asking only what he should do differently and start asking how your presence feels in his body. Does your presence lower his guard or raise it? Because that answer often explains more than arguments, gifts, or romantic advice online. The goal is not becoming smaller, quieter, or fake. It is becoming clearer, warmer, and more emotionally responsible with your power daily. Women influence relationship climate deeply, and that is not unfair pressure. It is simply the power of emotional energy repeated every day. The good news is that what is repeated can be changed, and what is changed consistently can completely reshape desire again slowly. Start by noticing your tone before your words, because tone enters his nervous system first and decides whether openness feels safe today. Then notice whether your requests sound like invitations or whether they already carry frustration, accusation, or disappointment before he even responds back. Notice whether your affection disappears when you are upset, because disappearing warmth teaches fear faster than long lectures ever could to him. Notice whether you expect mind reading, because resentment often grows where language should have been simple, direct, and kind from you first. Finally, notice whether your relationship has become all work and no delight, because attraction needs moments that feel emotionally alive again together. Bring back appreciation in specific words, because vague kindness passes quickly. But named appreciation lands deeply and rebuilds a man's openness inside. Tell him what you value in his effort, his character, his patience, his protection, or his way of carrying pressure daily still. Men often hear what they failed to do, so sincere appreciation feels surprisingly intimate because it meets a hunger they rarely admit. Bring back lightness too, because flirtation dies in overly serious homes, and many marriages starve from lack of play more than lack of love. Smile at him without needing something immediately afterward, because warmth that is not transactional helps desire feel free again for both sides. Touch him with softness sometimes when no conflict is being repaired, because affection should not only appear as maintenance after damage between. Speak needs directly and briefly, because clarity reduces drama. It protects dignity and gives love something real to respond to with care daily. When he does respond well, receive it warmly, because change grows faster where effort is noticed rather than treated as overdue compensation. This is how respect becomes magnetic again, not by controlling him more skillfully, but by restoring the emotional conditions where closeness can return. Some women fear that being softer means losing power, yet true influence often grows when your energy stops feeling adversarial at home. Power that humiliates may win a moment, but power that invites safety wins the heart, and the heart sustains attraction much longer. You do not need to become perfect. You need to become conscious, because repeated emotional patterns shape marriage more than occasional big gestures. A man can forgive rough seasons, but he struggles to stay open where he feels repeatedly diminished, managed, or emotionally unsafe there. That is why tiny daily shifts matter. A softer entry, a clearer request, a grateful word, a gentler tone, a playful glance. These things seem small, yet they change what his body expects when he enters your presence. And expectation shapes desire more than people realize. If home starts feeling lighter again, he may not explain the change immediately, but he will often show it through energy first. He lingers longer, jokes more, touches more, listens with less resistance, and begins choosing connection without being pushed toward it again there. That is not manipulation. It is what naturally happens when a person's guard drops and their heart no longer braces for impact. Of course, this does not excuse laziness, disrespect, betrayal, or serious neglect from him, and softness should never replace healthy boundaries there. But in normal marriages without major abuse, many husbands lose interest less from mystery and more from repeated emotional bruising at home. Bruising does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is a daily drip of correction, coldness, pressure, resentment, and impossible expectations from love. The heart rarely shuts in one moment. It usually shuts by degrees, protecting itself each time closeness feels costly to hold inside. So do not wait until he is fully distant to become curious, because repair is easier while warmth still flickers between you. Catch the pattern early when he still responds sometimes, still laughs occasionally, still wants peace, and still hopes things can feel different. Instead of asking why men lose interest, ask what repeated emotional experience makes interest hard to sustain inside marriage over time there. That question leads to change because it moves you from fear and guessing into awareness, choice, and emotional maturity for love daily. Sometimes the answer is not that he stopped loving you. It is that he stopped feeling good inside the way love worked. And when the experience changes, feelings often follow because desire grows best where connection feels respectful, warm, playful, and emotionally safe again. So before blaming time, age, routine, or outside temptation, examine the atmosphere you create around conversation, conflict, affection, and daily partnership first. Ask whether your love has become a place where he is mostly corrected, mostly needed, or mostly emotionally on trial now daily. And ask whether he still experiences your femininity as warmth and life, or mostly as stress, pressure, disappointment, and emotional complexity at home. Ask whether your marriage still contains admiration, laughter, gratitude, affection, and ease, or only efficiency, responsibility, and unresolved tension between you daily. Honest answers may sting, but they are gentler than continuing a pattern that slowly starves both of you emotionally over time inside. Marriage should not feel like winning against each other. It should feel like learning how to protect love from your own habits. So stop correcting everything. Stop turning love into management. Stop withholding softness. Stop speaking through resentment and stop expecting mind reading daily. Start creating an experience he wants to return to because interest survives where a man feels respected, safe, desired, and emotionally welcome. Start speaking so truth can land without shame because people open wider when dignity remains intact during hard conversations at home too. Start appreciating what is good before only naming what is missing because gratitude softens defensiveness and makes effort feel meaningful again inside. Start saying what you need clearly because clarity is kinder than resentment and far more attractive than silent punishment for marriage daily. Start bringing back play, warmth, touch, and genuine delight because attraction feeds on aliveness, not only commitment and duty between you both. The marriage he stays interested in is rarely perfect. It is simply one where being with you still feels good to him. And that feeling is built daily. Through your tone, your warmth, your clarity, your respect, and your emotional steadiness at home always. Change those patterns, and you may be surprised how quickly distance softens, conversation opens, and the man beside you comes closer again. Because most husbands do not lose interest all at once. They lose it where love stops feeling like peace for them inside.